So I'm going to just go off agenda a little bit because we did talk about it at the agenda setting and I wasn't sure. But I did ask Laura to come because as we try to figure out budgets, it's usually difficult because we don't know what's going on under the Golden Dome. So I thought maybe Laura could give us a brief update because obviously that always plays into what we do. And Laura, I don't want to put you on the spot, but no, I really don't. No, I know that, the chair of House Ed submitted a new map and we got stuck in Bells Falls, which makes no sense at all. We have no ties to Bells Falls, don't do anything with them up that way. It would seem it would make more sense we have some relationship with the Deerfield Valley and the Connecticut River Valley and even Burton a little bit because that's where most of our students head towards, Manchester, Brattleboro. And I don't know if there's the political will to do something. I know somebody commented once that if something doesn't happen, the governor's going to lose his mind. So I didn't know if you want to just kind of give us an idea what you think is going to happen up there. Because we're almost at changeover too, aren't we? Crossover.
Although I'm sure that this will be something that will get extensions past crossover, would be my guess. Crossover is when bills have to leave by rule from the House and go to the Senate so that they can consider them, and the Senate to go to the House so that they can consider them. The rules can be suspended, and they very well may be suspended because this is an ongoing negotiation. So we'll see what happens. All the money bills, like appropriations bills and taxes bills, are often have more time past crossover. So you were asking me to look into my...
No, I'm just asking what you're hearing and what you think and what we need to pay attention to as we try to put a budget together and try to, let the folks in the valley know again how badly they're going to get hurt.
So let's not maybe start with that as the, outcome. Maybe we'll be lucky and folks won't get hurt. So the maps, I saw the map, and I was surprised to see Windham County split in two. And further conversations helped me understand that I needed to think about the language that would go with the map. And so that is looking at designation. There's a concept of designating high schools. So I believe it's up to 3 public high schools is the language. And so all of that is negotiable and will, I'm sure, be negotiated and massaged and, all kinds of nuance. I think there is a general sense that now I am well into speculating. Okay, here's Laura speculating. But there's a general sense that the 4 academies are really necessary, and so it's hoped that they will agree to the requirements to receive public dollars. And so when you look at the map split in 2 in that way, and if you can imagine Burton agreeing to comply with the requirements for receiving public dollars, which I'm not sure they will, and they have resisted, you would then be looking at 3. You would be looking at Leland and Gray, Bellows Falls, and Burton. If you looked at just Windham County, you have 4 public high schools there. And then if you have Burton agreeing to follow the rules necessary for public dollars, you would have 5.
Hold on. So you just said Burton when you were listing your 3?
Oh, they're not in our region. Yeah, they're not in our region.
So, no, which ones? Can you restate the 3 again? I was confused.
But I'm wrong, Kate, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was...
Yeah.
So what are the...
Well, you could designate up to 3. So
to,
if we have, so split in 2, you could designate to Burton, or to another public high school. I guess you could go up into Windsor County, or you could go to Bennington County. Or you could go down to the other southern part of Windham County. So when I said if it was combined, it would not include, based on my understanding, because you have 4 public high schools.
4.
Yeah,
Right
because you got
Yeah,
Ellis
all of these.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you could potentially designate 4 public high schools for our school district. Is that what you're saying?
I believe the language right now
Okay.
is if you have a merged district, which should be understood to be merged boards and not consolidated schools, that board would have the ability to designate up to 3 high schools, public high schools, or high schools that act like public high schools, meaning they follow the rules for public dollars. Right now, if you understand differently, Bob, you may be
So far, so
following.
good.
Okay, yeah. Right now, the way that this is split, we have 2 public high schools in the northern part of Windham County, which is Leland and Gray and Bellows Falls. So that if that ended up being a district, that board governing that district could choose one more public school or school that acts like a public school, if that were Burton, to designate for sending high school kids. So I would say towns that are in those districts will be hotly contested. How big that district is would be hotly contested. What types of schools, how far you can go. I mean, all of those things are items that would be probably pretty, that will be, I shouldn't say pretty, they will be. And it's not just here, it'll be throughout the state. There'll be special situations in each potential merged board.
So, like in the fall, they did a big listening tour.
Who's
Like-
they?
the committee.
The committee,
task force.
the task
The one in
force.
Leland, so are we talking about the one that happened in Leland and Gray?
There were others too across the state.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that happened. Like, what other ways can people share their thoughts on like what the future of our education system holds for the children?
So I would suggest strongly sending letters to both the House and Senate committees on education. If you're looking at finance, I would include the Finance and Ways and Means committees as well. Something that can be really powerful is the bigger the letter. So the more people that agree to what's in the letter, the more powerful that letter is. So if there are people outside of this Wardsboro Dover district that agree with some of the things that you're talking about, it would be helpful to collaborate with them.
So a collaborative letter between multiple entities would be impactful for those 4 different groups, the House and the Senate Education Committees, the House and Senate Finance Committee, the House and Senate Ways and Means Committees, and those are the ones to target.
So let me just make sure there are 4 committees. So the 2 education and then the 2 finance taxing. In the House, it's called Ways and Means. In the Senate, it's called Finance.
Okay.
And I would only send to Ways and Means and Finance if you're talking about dollars. If you're talking about governance, I'd just go to the education committees.
What do you mean by that? Like, what would we focus on as far as money is concerned?
So if you're talking about how we pay for education in the state, how we tax for education in the state, how, like the weighting was the weighting formula,
Mm-hmm.
fixing the weighting formula, that was more in the Ways and Means and the Finance committees. If you're,
The foundation formula.
yeah,
Okay, got it.
foundation formula.
Anything with
if that's-
dollars.
Yeah. If you're looking at, I don't like this map, or I would make a change to this map in this way, you want to go to the education committees. And the more people that agree with you that they don't like or do want something, it's just, more people, more better, right? So,
And like you say, the 4 like independent schools, the 4 private schools, like BBA, St. Johnsbury, like what about like some of the other academies like SMS, Long Trail, like what about some of those? Like what does this like new plan look like for them?
So right now, the designation language is for public schools. So, those will be details that'll get worked out as a part of this.
And that goes to the ed committee.
That would go to the ed committee. And the State Board of Ed also, I would weigh in with them. They may have something to do with the governance, the maps.
I have a question.
Yeah.
As
Governor's office.
have they talked at all about how this will, like, not that it is something that we need to worry about, but we don't have that many large businesses in the state, and how this is going to affect these schools, these independent schools that help to keep communities alive, and if they pull the public dollars that they're currently getting, have they spoken about that at all, and how that's going to affect the towns that they are
Who's
located
they?
in? The people that are working on these maps. I mean, we're talking about the legislature, like the people that are working on these programs. Have they, like?
Yeah.
I don't know
I think
exactly who it is. So.
There's a lot of paid advocacy
Okay.
for the private schools
Okay.
in the legislature.
Okay.
You also have paid advocacy for teachers' unions, the school boards, the superintendents. So these issues are being brought up.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is that education is one of the most divisive, I don't know if that's the right word, policies to work on. Always. Small change, large change. It is because people care so much, and they're not areas where people are like, well, I could kind of compromise on that. It's a big deal.
Right.
So it's hard to put together math that works to get anything done. And so math that works in the legislature, that's how bills get passed. So to get something out of a committee, it has to be the majority of the committee. So if you have a committee of 11, you need 6 people that agree to get something out. If you have something that needs to go through the House, there's 150 members. You need, 76. There's 30 members of the Senate. You need 16. And then at the end of the day, the governor has to agree. And it's pretty tight right now in all corners on, what to do.
The other thing I would love to comment, because we've brought this up during Act 60 and Act 68, all these other things, is, that how it affects the communities. And we were pretty universally told that it's not the school's function to grow, to make an economy or to support the local economy. And we also have, I'll leave it at that. It was.
I would also note that we have schools that are, right now, in the absence doing nothing, we have schools that are closing without any plan whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's something that is a real concern to me. I know I've spoken to you.
Just,
I think I've
just in
spoken
our
to
own
you.
district, we have Marlboro.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we
Are
are,
they 100%?
I think, unintentionally
Well,
creating a pretty big desert for elementary schools in the western side of Windham County. And I don't think that's anybody's intention, nor do I think it's good for the economy or the towns, here. And we don't really have the ability to have bigger conversations, which is one of the reasons I really think we do need to get to these larger boards so that we can have bigger conversations and utilize more of our assets.
Yeah, I want to just touch on that. I had another question as well, but like as far as you're saying, but we have a larger board that does open up opportunities for some consolidation and maybe some more voices. Although you're taking away kind of the local control and the local boards, which is to me seems to be the disconnect. Like you can have these larger districts, which are districts and they're not supervisory. We can talk about that as well. But it's interesting. So I went up to Jamaica. They had a meeting up there, and they're struggling because if they close their school, there's only one opportunity. There's only one thing they can do. If they close, then they'll need to go to towns, and so they have a loss of options. So these options you're talking about with a larger district, yeah, there are more options, but there's less local voice. So like, how do we have our cake and eat it too? So how do we, how do you And I think the task force was going down that path by allowing, like, why can't Wardsboro and Jamaica are so close, yet we can't have a conversation with them on how to combine our two schools. And that should be allowed, right? Or should be some way to make that happen. And one of the things is, also just to touch on the supervisory unions as well. And because what was interesting in that map was there are no SUs. It's all supervisory districts, which got the attention of a lot of the rural areas, as we know. So whether or not that, and we as this board, this group voted, we want to stay in an SU, and it has a lot of other groups in NEK and some other areas in the state. So those are the two things but getting back to that other point, I think it'd be nice if, and places like Marlboro, they're lucky because not lucky, but they're an independent district. So when they vote to close, they're just going to allow families to do what they want. But if someone like Jamaica, Reedsboro, or some of these other areas that are voting to close, their option is just one. And that might be one of the reasons why they vote not to close.
I would counter though and say that, Marlboro at that point has no say.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got, if they decide to align with the district, they'll get representative, proportional representation
Well, that would
on
be
the
their
board.
choice.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But at some point, we get so small, it feels like the hand is getting forced. I know that is something that we're feeling in Windham County in a number of different places. And so, I would love to encourage you all to get yourselves organized and aligned as strongly, as financially strong. So I would, as you can. I would, it is my opinion, you should keep both your buildings open. I don't know how you align them. You probably don't align them the way that they're aligned now. There's probably room to reduce some staffing, but I'd keep your buildings and I'd do what you can to control your spending and align your personnel to position yourself for these next few years so that, you have options.
Yeah, but that's the difficulty. We don't have any choices to align.
Well, we do.
Right now.
Right now.
We actually
And
do.
you
Well,
It's not going to be what we have now. And so, again, you can align, but then when you align, you lose something.
well, there are, but the people, it has to be a vote.
You had a question, you said.
Yeah, no, that was what I noticed.
Hey, real quick, because you haven't talked about it, and then Bob wants to beat you
Yeah.
up. No, he really did. He told me that. Do you have you haven't talked about non-operational districts yet either? So why don't you just mention that a little bit too, because that's kind of what Marlboro's moving towards, and that's got some pitfalls too.
I don't know that I could say much more than what I've said.
Well, the non-operationals, the map doesn't allow for non-operational. They're going to stick them somewhere, and they're going to change into whatever they're stuck into. Correct? Is that? I mean, that's what's proposed
I
now.
believe
Is
so.
my understanding.
And I am not following moment by moment because I know how much this is going to change. I'm kind of I have an intern sitting on the committees, particularly telling me about financial impacts, like for instance the capped growth rate. So I'm waiting for these issues to kind of percolate because I don't have all the answers. But I do know that what's happening now is not actually strengthening our communities, and it is not ensuring that we have high quality education available to our communities at a cost that taxpayers, feel is valuable. So I don't know if that's a good answer for you. I can certainly follow up and give you more information on non-operators.
No, I just think because, again, kind of where Dwight was going is, you got to wonder if it used to be really easy because we had one building, one town to worry about. Mm-hmm. Now we've got two, which makes it a little more difficult. Mm-hmm. We see that, even during the beginning of Act 60 and 68, we were able to control our taxes and our expenditures really well, that we were always right at the, whatever that statewide tax was, that's what we were at. Because that was the bottom and that's where we stayed. then the state said, oh, this isn't working, because I don't know why, but, all of a sudden we now go to, oh wait, you know what, your school districts don't know what you're doing, so we're going to go, at a minimum to a supervisory union, and they're going to take care of things like your transportation and your special ed, and we're going to let them hire your administration, and the administration's going to hire the staff, and then all of a sudden our budgets start going through the roof. And since all that, we can't control anything. And then the state says, oh, you're letting salaries get out of hand, so we're going to control the biggest thing in your salary, which is healthcare. They've done a great job on that. Our healthcare has gone up immensely. The state used to take care of teachers' retirement. Now they're saying, oh, we can't take care of this anymore. So we're going to start charging districts a percentage every time you bring a new teacher in. And it's the further we get away from the local control, the crazier the money is, the crazier the spend is, the lower the test results go. And it's like, I don't know. And I just, I don't know where to go anymore. And that's why I was hoping that, and I know you don't have an answer, but I don't know how to prevent bad things from happening anymore. And even if you remember Jim Lynch's question, Dwight made, I don't know, but he said, what do we do? How I feel like when we're just, as we get bigger, we're going to lose more and more control. And we as a board in Dover just said to him, we've looked out for you our whole, that's all we've ever done, and we're going to continue to look out for you. I don't even know if we can look out for people anymore. I think that, the state's created this monster that's just going to absorb everything, and it's going to be a mess. And
how expensive it gets.
Pardon?
And the taxes keep going up.
Right. And we're getting less services, and then I almost kind of think that if the state really wants to do the right thing, why doesn't the state take all the special ed over? Because they're basically doing that now. They're giving us a little bit of money, and then we got to figure out how to spend it. It doesn't make any sense. Why doesn't the state just take full responsibility for that? If we did that, our SU budget would go down 85%. We'd have very few employees at the SU, and they can all be state employees. But I bet you it'll cost us more.
Yeah, I will say, right, when we all did a lot of work here under Act 46 to come together, basically the bottom fell out of any kind of state support at the agency and largely at the department, or not the department, the state board. And that's been for 10 years, so that's not helpful. In addition, we have pushed a whole bunch of costs into the education fund, and so, and programs into the education fund. And this year we're talking about taking money out of the education fund for transportation. Meanwhile, saying we're going to cap how much you can spend. This is why Senator Baruch's, proposal to cap spending is DOA for me, because we're the ones that are really making this situation very expensive. So I appreciate that. I will also say, as I said to you, Saturday, the constitutional obligation to ensure substantial equity of opportunity for all Vermont kids lies with the state. And with Act 60, and 68, that was we tried to define that with dollars. And, I'm not sure how to clean this up at this point. I think it's a mess.
But the other thing too, I just want everybody to remember that.
And so at this point, with the state continuing to shake, I actually would like the state of Vermont to be accountable for some of this at this point.
How does that look?
Mm-hmm. It looks like you make some tough decisions here. Instead of pushing this down, taking money out, pushing programs in, and then saying, here's what you got. And then,
Make it work.
Complaining about the test scores and, the tax rates. Like, actually, why don't we see how you can do in terms of managing that with what you've done to the education fund here. So
The legislature, not us.
Please don't let the governor off the hook. So,
Well, the government, the state then, how about?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just want to remind everybody that Peter Shumlin came in when Buzzy Buzzwell, I said to him, is this going to be just like the transportation fund? You're going to keep stealing
How many
money.
times have you heard? Because I have heard it personally.
Yes.
Story's the
And
same.
Peter assured us that if they took $1 out of the ed fund for something other than direct education to support the school districts and supervisory unions, Act 60 would just go away. And the only thing that went away was Peter.
I know.
I don't get it.
I know. Notwithstanding is a fun.
How much pressure are the legislators feeling with the threat from the governor to not sign the budget if they don't do what he wants?
I mean, it's a little game of chicken, right? So
Isn't that going to look bad on him if he doesn't have a budget?
I would say it is going to look bad on him if there's no budget. I would say also, there are a lot of schools that are closing. And tax rates are spiking, and so the legislature doing nothing in the face of that gives the governor something pretty, for some people will find attractive to campaign that. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the school. There are lots of schools in this area that are considering closing without being forced to do so.
Yeah.
And they're on the ballot, and I think we should be aware of that. We should support these towns and give them the most opportunities for what they can do once they're closed. Not just, and not just say we're going to create this larger district and tell you what to do, because it's already on the ballot. But I will say that I think if these schools, if they like what happened up in Worcester and stuff, it's not just because they want their town. It's a big reason they want their school in their town, but there are other factors as well. I think that they may feel like they have less opportunity or less say in what happens once the school is closed.
There are probably 20. If I spend some time, I could probably stake out 20 different discrete, very serious points, constituencies that are part of this that are really kind of unyielding in their aspect of a thing that has to happen. So that is really tricky. It's a little bit like a slot machine. Like what combination gets 76, 16, and the governor?
Right.
And is that the right thing to do? Right? So, but we will never get massive majorities passing any kind of confidence report. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Is there any consideration? This just seems like such a big move. Like it's just like it's just like pushing in there of like really sitting down and looking at each of the areas and saying, they may need this or they may need this. We might need to do it seems like we could accomplish a lot more and have a lot better outcome and maybe save more money if we actually look at each district rather than saying let's just do a blanket fix and group these people together that kind of look like they might belong together and maybe their drive won't be that bad. And it just seems like they're not actually considering that there are people that live in these areas.
So
in a lot of
again,
I know
I don't mean,
sorry.
I know.
I
I
know.
don't mean to be smart with you about it, but I mean,
No, I know.
I really, because there are so many distinct groups that are working on this and they have positions. So
I think I say that because that's how we feel.
Yeah.
We feel like we're treated like they.
Yeah.
So it feels like there's not a thoughtful.
it's us and everyone else. Yeah. So I would say that the task force came up with a proposal that looks at regional collaboration, looks for larger discussions. The maps, with the policy, looks for larger discussions. I mean, there are two different types of governance right now, and likely to change significantly, but it's sort of exactly what you're saying. How do we have these, the task force, what they proposed is less commitment. It's all carrot and no stick, basically. Is that true? I mean, I think so. Everybody would be assigned, but you don't have to do anything. But your neighbors may, decide to work together and do things and you're left out of it, which is, that's a little bit more like, it's kind of one step more, I think, about like the CUDs that we did. So those were all voluntary.
Laura doesn't just do that to you, though. She started doing that a few years before
No,
we
I
got
get,
on
and
the
I
board.
totally get it. I understand it,
it's
and I just,
important. Well, and I think it's good too, so that people understand when we're just saying they and they watch us on TV,
Right.
they know who we're talking about. So if they want to write a letter, they want
But
to.
in all
also
fairness,
I want to answer as precisely as
Right.
possible.
and in all fairness, we are talking about the legislators, which is why I'm saying they, because that's what we're talking about. I'm talking about the people that are working on what we're doing.
Yeah. So the
So,
committees,
Yes.
which are vehemently split up
Okay,
within
that's why you're
themselves.
saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there are not big majorities in either, I mean, the Senate committee is probably got, I think, more of a majority because it's a smaller committee and it's been established to have a certain type of majority. So,
The Ed or the finance?
Ed,
Ed, okay.
I'm sorry, Bob, did you?
Well, I just wanted, there's a couple of things that I just wanted to add to the conversation about. I think the SU conversation is an interesting one, and I have a lot of different feelings about it, but one of the things that, just to add to kind of what Dwight was saying, was when you're in a district and there's a neighboring district and you're prevented statutorily from doing something, you maintain your local control, but if your local control doesn't help you, what good is it? Mm-hmm. And the other side of that too is Marlboro, they have the local control to make a decision, but if they close, they don't, I mean, what's their local control? What's the point of it? They don't control anything educationally anymore. Kids go wherever they want. They control the budget, which is driven mainly by tuition. So like their locus of control gets smaller because they're independent. So it's like I'm saying it's a double-edged sword, local control, because it can be really useful if you have an operating district that's working and functioning. But if there's impediments to that, like doing something with Jamaica to keep this building alive.
Well, I guess they still have a board, like Stratton has a board, and they're entertaining moving to a different SU, so they'll have some control over it in that way, wouldn't they?
Maybe, but they still don't have control. If it's in an SU, they still don't have control over the education of their kids because they're still
Right. They
don't operate anything.
off to the parents, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah, I get
So
it.
it's just another way to think about it, that local control. Like, what is it good for if it doesn't help you?
Yeah. If they had merged with us during Act 46, then all their kids would be going to Dover or Wardsboro.
Right. And I don't know if the distinction of the SD in the map has to do with the fight to keep SUs. There's a local control element, but there's also a choice element built into that too, right? That's part of why they exist, because they don't exist in places outside of the academies, really, right? And for the most part, that's where they are. And so, but if there's this ability to designate, maybe that takes care of what you need, and you're not losing the Dover or Worsboro students. Don't lose anything on that. Maybe I don't know. I guess it depends on what BBA would do, but it's just interesting to think about how there's
Well,
what you're thinking might be a good thing might not be a good thing, and sometimes the thing you're thinking might be the opposite is actually going to hurt you more. I don't know. It's just
It is what it is.
it's upside down right now. I guess we don't know, right?
Right.
But it would be great to be able to do something between Jamaica and Wardsboro,
Yeah,
or
same
the
here in
two
Wardsboro.
districts.
well, hang on. There's
yeah.
no Jamaican. There's no Wardsboro.
That's what I'm saying.
So you're creating.
But between the people to have access to a school before it's not here, and you have a desert, and because that's really what happened with Marlboro.
But it feels that
They didn't
way.
have anyone to partner with,
So
which is what the
again,
problem
and we
is.
asked Laura a long time ago when Bill was here to look into something so that in the SU we could do some moving around. As I've said 100 times, a parent in Newfane may work at Mount Snow and they may live in South Newfane or Williamsville. So wouldn't it be nice if they could drop their kid at Dover on the way by? On the same token, somebody that lives in East Dover maybe works at Grace Cottage. They could drive by Newbrook or Townsend and have their child go there. That way they're closer to their child. And why couldn't we just do that as an SU? Because we share so much anyways. And the was like, no, you can't do that. And which would be the same thing if a West River student that lives in Jamaica and works at Mount Snow could drop their child here instead of taking them to Townsend and then trying to get over there, and vice versa. Somebody that lives on this end of town, and works at Grace Cottage, maybe doesn't want to come here. They want to drop their child. So there would be opportunity, but I think then that changes because you have unlike structures. And I think if we were to go to the people in Wardsboro and Dover and say, hey, we want to join Wyndham Central in the West River group so we can all be alike and be bigger, there isn't enough stuff to clean off after we get tarred and feathered.
Yeah, because of the choice. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because they like the choice. And I think kind of where we heard it at our last meetings, I think where you were going a little bit, Meredith was going, is that there's people that moved into some towns because they had the choice and they knew that if they came here, they could send their child wherever they want their child to go for high school, be it good or bad. And it was a benefit of living in the town of Dover where it snows 7 months out of the year. We're in Brattleboro, it only snows 3 months out of the year. So, you would put up with that. So you had that choice. You didn't have to get pigeonholed into a high school. And so there's a lot of pros and cons on everything, and people make choices based on that. And then the state people get jealous because they say, "Oh, you've got something, and we're the majority, so we're going to take that something away just because if we're suffering, you should suffer too, like our taxes, Act 60." But anyways, I'll get off my soapbox.
Well, that came full circle. That
let's
was
not
good.
forget that people are having a lot less children.
Yeah.
There's just a lot less kids. And, we do have a housing situation. We've got a very seriously changing economy.
Yeah.
So, there are more things happening here. And I think it's important to remember that, really, and to just be as flexible and strong. Let's do some yoga here, guys. While all of this is coming out to maintain the best position. And as I said, my opinion, which you didn't ask for, but I certainly will offer it.
Oh, that's because you haven't left yet.
Yeah. No, I did offer it already. I think you should keep both the buildings and reduce spending. We talked about these things when I was on the board. You need to look at the staffing and that sort of thing. But just to protect your options. Because once the school closes, it's closed.
Yeah. No, we totally agree, and I don't think any of our options involve closing a building, but maybe combining some stuff because, again, the other thing is, I have no more of a crystal ball than anybody else, and, all of a sudden next year they may find gold up in, Snow Mountain Farms area, and that area may become the hottest area. Well, I think she's been mining for it for a while. But there's things change, and in Vermont we've seen these real secular events, and it's just But I get nervous because the bigger we get, and the more control has gone towards the state, the worse things have gotten, and the harder it is. And maybe it's worked out really well for somewhere, but if you remember in Act 60, there were 60 gold towns, and I was at Wyndham Central, and we were us in Winhall, Stratton were the only 3 gold towns, I believe. And I remember saying to them, because we were asking them to do something for Dover, I said, don't worry, you're all going to be gold towns eventually, because it has nothing to do with, property wealth or anything. It's just, taking more money away from us. And, within like 5 years, every town, I think, but Brookline was considered a gold town.
Well, you all may want to also weigh in on the proposed move of transportation funds out of the education fund. That's not going to lower anybody's taxes. Certainly will make the roads better. We definitely have a big road problem. You may want to weigh in on that. Governor's proposing to take 1% local option tax money, and rather than returning that to the towns, to use that, $8 million of that this year.
Where does it come from now?
That'll be really popular.
What's that?
Where is it now?
What?
Where's that money come from?
The transportation
Yeah.
fund? So it is the tax that is paid on
Fuel.
by an automobile.
Uh-huh.
That goes into the education fund.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Everybody
So,
wants to take it out.
yes,
Sales
and
tax.
the transportation committees, we have a major shortfall in our transportation fund.
Mhm.
And, what you can put out impacts what you can draw down from the feds, so it gets exacerbated if there's less, so they're scrambling for money and saying, well, that money should be over here, the tax on cars.
Is there any other proposals to fix the problem with the transportation
I am not aware of it, but there could be being discussed right now.
Tax electric school buses.
The tax electric cars,
Yeah, there are.
How many electric school buses are there in Vermont?
There's
I don't know, but we have
there
one,
are
so they
no
might as well
taxes that
tax
are
us.
gonna get passed.
No, I
The
just wanted to know how
governor's-
many electric
yeah.
school buses there are in Vermont.
In Vermont?
Mhm.
I
Are there
think
a
there's
lot?
quite a few, yeah. I mean, not in the mountain towns. We are unique.
Unique that way. We can always budget for another diesel if you want, 125,000. Put that.
It's better than 350.
And we're
Mean
also
zero.
we're facing some really unique challenges in the next couple of years too in our community. Our community is becoming less attractive to new families moving in because there's not many options for like smaller than elementary students. Like there's not many daycare options.
right.
There's not many things, and that's going to impact the viability of our community too. And like I wish there was a way that not that we should operate it ourselves, but like that we could help a daycare come into our community so that young families, this could be the we live in one of the most beautiful playgrounds, you guys.
Yeah.
Like we live in this awesome place. The kids are out Nordic skiing at recess and PE. Like this is how it should be. Like these kids should be having so much fun and growing up in these really phenomenal places, and we can't get ourselves out of it to be able to create a place where people want to move because our housing costs are high, our roads are full of frost heaves and potholes, and like we don't have the infrastructure to support these families to move in, and it's really tricky. And I wish there was a magic, I wish Rich had his magic ball so he could tell us what to do, and that we could all just have a magical path forward to be able to solve for these bigger things that are affecting like how many kids we have in the school now, and the part that like if there's not affordable childcare, like the younger generation isn't going to have more kids, and we're not going to populate the schools, and then it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. And then Dwight and I are going to be the only people out there skiing at Grout Pond.
What?
So it
That's
seems like
not so
this is
bad.
kind of like,
That sounds nice. I mean, I would say, you know, that you are seeing an expanded daycare in Wilmington.
Yeah.
Which is a great model.
At Beaverbrook, or oh, that's cool.
The program,
Yes.
the program
But
is,
it- on that line, it seems like this is a Band-Aid to fix something that needs to actually come from the bottom up rather than them moving things around to fix things that actually need, other things that need to be fixed rather than actually focusing on the real problems that are happening, probably statewide, I would assume.
So, I mean, I'm on the rural caucus. I help lead the rural caucus, and one of the things that we talk about all the time is, you know, there's not a lot of capacity in our small towns to do these projects. Like people can establish daycares, you know, and they can do it in communities. I mean, in room that is existing in school buildings. The question then becomes, who is going to do that work? And in rural communities, there are less people there to do that work. So, and I would also urge you to pay attention to the changes coming from Act 181, which are those are major reforms to Act 250, which is a housing bill, which is supposed to help us build housing. And it does that by making Act 250 disappear in our most densely populated areas, like downtown Brattleboro, or Burlington, downtown Bennington. And the trade-off is in our rural areas, we're going to have a lot more regulation in terms of being able to build. So,
Like Dover
Yeah.
and
More
Wardsboro.
oh
Sound good.
yes. So you know, we have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 is how right now if you want to build a project, the project determines whether or not it has to go through Act 250. This is going to be where you are is going to determine whether or not you go through Act 250. So tier 1 are these areas where I hear all the time, we want housing, which are areas that are already settled, that have infrastructure, water, wastewater, sidewalks, etc. And so removing Act 250 jurisdiction area, these are communities that also have pretty strong planning commissions and a lot of staff. And you have tier 2, which purportedly is, well, not purportedly, is most of the state. Let me take tier 2 back. Tier 3 are places that are very environmentally sensitive. No go, automatic Act 250. It's a very small portion of the state, just like tier 1 is. Most of the state is tier 2. And that will be like your regular Act 250, except we have put in place something called the road rule. And so if you want to build off of the road, 800 or up to 2,000 feet, you are automatically in Act 250 as well.
Well, you
So
are now over 800 feet anyways, aren't you?
for road, for.
Yeah, I'm
no,
pretty sure
We used to
because-
have it and then it was repealed and now it's been reinstated, but it goes into
okay.
effect in July, the road roll.
I
So-
know in Newfane a guy did like 750 feet of road a year for like 5 years so that he can trigger Act 250.
Right. So that's another, it's just another kind of force.
Yeah, it's another beat
on
up the little
rural
small
communities.
rural towns and let's
Yeah.
give more growth to places that support certain
No.
issues. Yeah. Well, so anyways, it's almost 7, so I think I promised Laura that she could drive north, and the way the traffic was between here and Dover,
Yeah.
you may not make it to Montpelier in time for tomorrow. But does anybody have any other question about, what's happening in legislature regarding education, not Act 250?
I have one more question about this, what we were just talking to. Is that, how far along is that? And does that look like it's gonna pass?
So Act 181 was passed
I saw you.
in
wrote
2024.
something about it, but I didn't really understand it.
Yeah, that was passed in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Governor vetoed it. Veto was overridden. We are now, there's unanimity that we need to slow down because this is going way too fast. And yes, I have been writing about it. And the Rural Caucus has asked for delays on a number of different things. So has the Chamber. So has Vermont Natural Resources Council, which really pushed for this. A lot of the housing developers. So I think we're going to see a delay.
In more regulations for Zone 2.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Tier 1 is not looking like it's getting the uptick that folks are hoping for either. So I am happy to come and talk to you guys virtually if I'm not here, or if I'm, calling from the car.
So is everybody else on the board good? Because Laura, you do have, so if you would like to give us your opinion on a budget that we could present that you would vote for, even though you won't be there because you'll be up north under the Golden Dome.
Oh, I will be at the budget meeting.
No, the annual meeting, the annual school
Meeting.
district meeting.
Yeah. I think you need to keep both buildings open. I think what are you looking at, 100 students next year?
Bob, I got it right here. A little over. I think 30 in this building and like 70. Some, yeah.
In that neighborhood, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should be looking at the Bill Anton proposal from Act 46, and making sure that we're treating all of the kids similarly. So if we have some kids with combined classes, some kids without combined classes, that's hard to really justify, So I would do a comprehensive look, keep these buildings open and, keep the,
133 total.
oh, that's more than 100.
Yeah, 106 and 27 not yet enrolled. Those are the crystal ball kids.
Yeah.
But it drops down in 2 years like 113. You lose.
People are upset
20.
about property taxes. So there's not a lot that you guys can do, but we could have cut the budget last year, which you heard me say to all of you. So there was work that we could have done here. I will say to you, there is so much that is happening at the state level that is exacerbating and, people are not taking accountability for. So, and that is on top of it. So do the best you can. Preserve quality in the buildings. That's my opinion. Okay, you want me to leave?
No, you can stay.
No, I'm gonna go have dinner and see my husband.
Okay. Well, thank you for visiting.
Yeah, anytime, guys, anytime. Thank you all for the work that you're doing. It is very difficult work right now, so I appreciate you all being here. Night.
Am I anxious?
Yeah.
It's hard not to be in today's society.
So, anyways, sorry guys, but I thought that it would be kind of good to hear,
Yeah.
Hey, Rich, thanks for doing
That was
that.
great.
and that she was available. So
That's fantastic.
she does do office hours in Dover, Wardsboro, Jamaica, all her towns, and
That's right.
And so I went to see, and it was interesting because there's people from Brattleboro and Guilford and other places there. So, but I did ask her if she could come and just talk to us. And she is really good if we have anything as a group. I think I think her point was if we had a bigger group, it draws more weight. So
could we have a bigger group in that we like put something out there for our community? I think there might be some interest from our community to take a stance on this.
yeah, I tell you that map is awful. But again, who knows? Because I didn't think the bill was going to pass last year, and then it did, and then I thought we were going to get a map from the committee, and the committee didn't, the task force didn't, and then all of a sudden there's a map again. So
That was surprising.
yeah. But because we have a lot of stuff, and I don't want to keep Bob and Heidi all night, even though I'd like to. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda besides Laura? Go ahead.
No, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is on your hat?
A rainbow.
It used to be colorful, but then I washed it. So now it's
Okay.
sad.
It would be colorful if you didn't wash it, though, wouldn't it?
And
That's true too. Good point.
So, members of the public and members of the staff, and I don't see who we got out there. Not a lot of people. I'm just going to go around in circles. I got Francis. I got Bridget. Staff. We're going to mix you guys up if that's okay.
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. Dana.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to follow up on what Laura said, right? She said to preserve quality. And I remember when we were talking about the budget, the last two sessions, you guys were going to say the decision was going to be student-based. But then she's telling us that we need to focus on money. So it seems contradictory because option B has a lot of cuts to it. Option A is about $300,000 more. So I just wanted to ask you guys to consider that if we spread $300,000 across 1,500 households, it's about $200 a piece. And I was just hoping that everybody would think that $200 is worth keeping option A on the table, because again, Wardsboro is going to experience a lot of cuts under that second option. And again, I just hope you guys put forward a student-based quality budget as opposed to taking the cheaper option.
Thank you, Dana. You all set?
Yep.
Okay, appreciate it. Now Dana moves. So Alan, I think you would be next.
I'm good, just paying attention.
Thank you. Alyssa?
Elisa,
I'm sorry.
I'm good, thank you, Rich.
Thank you. Tricia? Tricia?
I'm good, Rich, thank you.
Okay, I was just making sure you didn't fall asleep on us.
I'm here.
she needs some
Okay.
sleep.
You sound very hoarse.
She's not doing it.
Oh,
It's Meredith and then Anne Marie.
no, Mary's right here.
I know.
Oh, Anne Marie, Scott.
I'm just going across the board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm all set, thank you very much.
Thank you. Dale? Dale Sherman?
It's always hard to find the unmute button.
I know. Amanda, you're next. Okay, we'll come back to you guys if you wanted to say something. We may have lost you because we've been a while. Old business, budget planning, administrators board discussion on community input, direction for central office on creation of budget and a timeline for adoption. We already know the timeline because that's been, I think we all should have that in your packet. Admin and board discussion on community input. So we've had a couple meetings, we've had some letters, we've had some talk. I don't think there's anything I've seen new come in since our last meeting. Has anybody on the board gotten anything from any people, sources? There was a nice article, I actually brought it in the newspaper about some of our discussion, and I don't think we've gotten anything from that. So what I wanted to do was I was going to ask Bob as our superintendent to kind of tell us what your takeaways were from the meetings or from the input we've got, and then I think I'd like to have the board kind of each of you take a turn and kind of what do you see for for a budget, or what kind of guidance do we give to central office to create us a budget that we can have presented to us at the next meeting. You guys are all done right now. Marlboro Stratton is done. West River adopted their budget. Marlboro's got a budget. It just depends what the vote is. And Wyndham has a budget, right?
Yep.
So we're the last one.
You got it.
So you can give us 110% of your
110%, Rich.
of
Even
half your Enterford.
even a cookie if you want.
No, there's probably not enough for everybody.
There is.
Meredith
You pass 'em on.
Meredith looks like
Well,
she's starving,
that's
so we should give
I
her
don't know
one
how hungry
first.
Meredith is, but pass them on.
Thank you.
Actually, can I start with a clarifying question?
Sure.
Laura mentioned the Bill Anton plan during Act
Yeah.
46.
Hey guys, hang on. Sorry. Go ahead.
What was the Bill Anton plan during Act 46? That's
To
not something I'm aware
pretty
of.
much close this building.
I think no, it was just to different structures, and having the schools have different grades and that kind of stuff. Kind of what we were talking about in this budget, that's what I remember. But it was more of a survey. It wasn't. He didn't present anything that I'm aware of.
No, he did.
Did he?
Yeah,
Well, I
because
think-
remember we almost got tarred and feathered out there.
Well, yeah, but I thought that was as part of a survey. I thought it was, but he actually presented.
He presented some options and some. He
okay.
projected. He presented a possible what he would recommend
Okay.
from strictly an educational standard that he thought would be appropriate for what we wanted. So we can dig that up. I have it.
So different, not the same grades in both buildings, in essence.
I don't
Some
remember
variation.
all
Okay,
the, but
alright.
yeah.
I just never heard of it. I was just curious what it was. But all right. So observations from the community meetings. I would say that I heard a lot of people concerned about too many reductions in some of the plans B and C. I remember hearing concerns about, and this might have been more from a parent, about having less than a full-time administrator. I heard concerns about equity between the buildings around programming. Heard concerns about, with one of the plans that moved more kids to Dover, doing that while simultaneously reducing some stuff in Dover. I think it was the world language. People were confused by that. I heard I think we clarified some questions about what it meant for kids for services, and not seeing a reduction in most places and through these plans. I heard concerns about the reduced enrollment and maybe not needing as many services, particularly in the place that was going to be smaller. Whether it's like nursing and counseling, that sort of thing. And I think the equity piece between multi-age and in certain cases big classes and single grade and small classes, and how that plays out, I think was an area of concern. And those things that jump into my head from what I remember people talking about and raising in letters and such. We certainly heard some ideas on what to do. We did, one of the things that was specific to that was the sixth grade, maybe not operating a sixth grade, which had some interesting considerations, although Heidi did a brief analysis of that, and it turned out that it could potentially be more expensive to not offer sixth grade based on tuition rates. And I think there was concerns about transitioning to fifth and sixth grade to Dover from the standpoint of families who would be transitioning there for 1 year and then transitioning somewhere else. People were nervous about that, which I kind of get. I don't recall anybody raising their hand and saying that they loved really any of it. So,
Are you sure?
So yeah, I mean, there wasn't anything that people were like, "That's an amazing idea. You should definitely do that." I don't recall hearing much of that.
Oh, you don't have to
Yeah.
keep looking
I mean,
at
I think that was kind of It was tough. It was tough. People had strong feelings. Yeah.
Tracy, you want to weigh in?
Sure. I had some of the similar rememberings that Bob had. I think for Dover, it felt we felt for Wardsboro having to give up what felt like a million things, and because our enrollment was higher, we didn't have to do that. So that didn't feel good to any of us. I Some of the same feelings about I had nobody reach out to me and say closing sixth grade is a great thing for any of the Dover families. No one reached out to me about that. And I wondered, I'm glad Heidi did that analysis because I wondered if it would end up being cheaper or not, but sounds like that is not the case. Um, I think um, I also think that there's really no good option. But I think we'll figure out whatever you all decide tonight, and Francesca and I will do our best to come up with what's best for students.
Thank you, Tracy.
My turn.
If you want.
No, I think there was like this progression I found. Like, it was like, yeah, let's tuition all sixth grade. That sounds great. But then people thought about it and let it perk. And like, no, we don't really want to lose the sixth grade. So I think that was kind of a shift. I know there were some people that were just like, yeah, let's tuition them out. But I also wondered what the cost would be there. Recently, I had my parent advisory committee, and they, just speaking to what kind of Kate mentioned and Dwight, really not wanting to lose our pre-K program, and what could we do about that, and how could we build it? How could we essentially recruit kids from neighboring areas, especially with the potential of Mount Snow daycare closing and perhaps Jamaica? One of the parents on that committee works at Winston Prouty and does a lot of work around resources and subsidies for families that will pay more on top of the 10 hours that the state does. So that was just last week. We started to investigate and explore that. But I think we want to keep our kids here if we can. And we want to make sure that between Dover and Wardsboro, it's a level playing field and it's equitable. And with that being said, we've had 4 calls in the last month from surrounding towns asking about enrolling their kids in the school, either pre-K or kindergarten. So looking at ways to open up that divide, especially to a town that's literally 5 miles down the road, would I think help this community. So that's kind of what I've heard from folks. It's morphed over every meeting. It's changed a little bit, but this is the most recent.
Thank you. So, I don't know who to pick on first. This is
Just
so
go
much
up and
fun.
around. Just go up and around. Start Elon.
Oh, yeah.
You wanna go
Okay,
left?
let's go up and around. You want to start with
Yeah.
just because I think the world of you, and you've been around a long time, and you're very passionate. So we'll let you go first.
Because I'm a little spicy.
Yeah. Saucy?
Saucy, spicy, I don't know. So, and I think that was really a point of us having these conversations, and these conversations have been very hard. They've been very tricky. A lot of feelings come up for a lot of different people because we are talking about things that, it affects our children, it affects the teachers that we love, it affects the staff members that we love, and it affects so many things. So it's not like we're having these conversations in a bubble and we're not creating a utopia. We are having to make decisions that are really hard for all of these groups. And so what do we do? And that's the point of having a conversation and finding out what's important to everybody. And so I really appreciate how much people have come together. And what I heard are similar things is that, we were open to exploring the idea of letting the sixth graders go, but I'm really glad you guys did the analysis on the budget because data is important. We can't just make the decisions in a little bubble. And that we've got so many factors on the table that we can't control. We have so many things that we can't control. So how can we make it the best educational experience in both buildings for the kids? And that seemed to be one of the threads that rang true was that we do want both buildings. So what does that look like and I think we can make a plan for next year, and then I think we have to like really keep our brains open about what future years look like. Like maybe we don't make a big swooping change for next year, but maybe we start making micro changes, and maybe we start like thinking of how we can be more attractive to different families, and like, you know, and then we also have the thread that IB might be going away, and that's really impactful to the Dover community. So what can we do to make sure that they have a really solid plan in place, and can we bring some STEAM elements over to them, or like what makes sense to make sure that every kid is getting a really good experience. And then looking at enrollment numbers too, I think we do need to explore the idea of that if we are letting IB go, one of the big tenets was that we couldn't do multi-age classrooms, so maybe we do have one multi-age classroom in Dover if enrollment numbers stay, and maybe on the years that like we have bigger numbers in this building, like maybe we have to think of ourselves as one giant team, and we flex wherever if it's a team sport, like you put the players on like whatever element you need to, so that we can kind of like, you know, run defense with the kids, like that we make sure that we're playing and like giving every kid what they need, so that we're all treating it equitable and all of that. So there's my ramble. It was a little less spicy than I thought today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey?
Who's next?
All right. I just wanted to thank Heidi and the administrators, you guys, for doing this process and having different options for us to consider. You know, one of the things I mentioned earlier on, it was one of my concerns was that we were cutting or, you know, removing 2 grades from here, but yet, you know, as you mentioned, Bob, that we were losing some programming. And it just didn't, both of them, I felt didn't need to be happening at the same time. And I still kind of believe that. One of the things Act 73 tells us, and the governor tells us, is once we consolidate, there'll be more options for everybody, right? This is what's going to happen. It's going to be great, and we're going to have more stuff. So, like, I was kind of thinking that would be nice to happen on our level as well. If we were going to make some reductions, then let's make what we have even better. You know, I don't know if that's possible or not, but I think what I'd like to see is from this exercise is to maybe take a pause, maybe put the committee back together, and you know, see if there are other ways to make these difficult choices, but to make things better than they currently are, if that's indeed possible. And there may be some options we're not considering. I know it's important to talk about the budget, and it is important. And but one of the things I always find difficult is doing this process during the budgeting process. We're focused a little too much on money, and there's so many other things that are involved in these decisions. You know, with transportation, people's lives, and all the other kind of stuff that need to be considered, the educational opportunities and those type of things. I think need to be considered as well, and make, you know, if we're going to do this, let's incorporate all those different aspects of the decision making into a larger decision that can be done collaboratively. That's kind of the way I look at it. So yeah, that's kind of what I got out of this process. I think we also don't know what's going to happen with, you know, with legislators, and if we are going to get pushed into that, so that there's some, you know, unknowns there. If we get pushed into a district, and things like that may happen as well. So I think what I'd like to see is learn what we've, you know, from you guys, what we have now, and maybe build on that. And I do think that the 5th and 6th grade is pretty robust, from what I understand, for next year here in Wardsville. So we can maybe take a pause for a year, and then work on some of those ideas in the budget. But, you know, maybe try to design something that we can all really get behind. In the coming years. That's what I got.
You really think we'll ever come up with something that we can all get behind?
I do.
Everyone.
Everyone.
At least the board. I'm not saying the whole community.
You can't get 26% of people getting on nothing.
Well, you never know, Rich. I'm optimistic.
I guess I'm just too pessimistic. Mikey.
Yes, sir. Well, I did miss the first few meetings due to just straight up not being here, but there's no other reason. So I'm not sure how any of these options actually came about. But what's ringing out to me is that we've talked about the IB for over a year, and what to do with that. And it seems like this is just like super quick. Like we have to make a decision on this, you know, before next week. It just seems everything's a little rushed. No one seems at all happy with any of this. I would recommend just letting the administrators trim through the fat. Don't go with any of this, and just seeing where their budgets look. We did the high expenditure items in the roof. Maybe we did the water system here and the heating system here. All right, maybe we kind of look at ourselves in the building maintenance. We did windows here recently. Maybe we kind of reel that back. We get enrollment up. We don't do any cuts. We make this place a rock star. And if we got to suffer with a little dirty carpet for a little bit longer, maybe we don't buy a new lawnmower or tractor for a moment. We got 2 new buses. I think we look in that direction. Not let the building go to hell by any means, but maybe push it back. I believe the water in Dover is up soon, and the fire alarms, I think, which is a big line item.
Kids do it.
Let the kids do it. I don't know if I'd like that, but maybe we look in that direction. And then, like I said, I just can't get over it. You look at the IB for over a year, and we still, we put it on rest. But this seems like a much bigger deal, and way too late in the game to come out. So I pay dearly in property taxes, and young family of 3, I should be the first one to moan and complain. But I think you just got to take it on the chin. Mm-hmm. Digest it all, enrollment will go up. Could be a blessing. I wouldn't jeopardize the kids this late in the game. Let's play with the building fund.
You all set?
And I apologize for not being here 2 weeks ago.
Don't worry about it.
I kind of agree with Mike, because this has been really hard for me to process these are all each thing is such a little change, but a huge change. Like none of them, I don't really want any of them. I'm wondering, and this could be a crazy idea, but our collaboration for winter sports is amazing, and the kids love being together. So I'm wondering if we can find some way to do some more of that, and have maybe one less teacher for something like that, where not everything, but like for certain, I don't know if it's PE or if it's art, or if we can find a way to collaborate in some way and save money that way as well. I don't know if that's an option. But I agree that it is late, that teachers need to know where they're going, and I think that lowering the things that we offer to children will keep lowering the amount of kids we have here. Like, we have less things to brag about, less things that we're proud of. By saying we have, 1 day less of Spanish than we used to, it's not going to bring more kids in here, and that's what we're kind of looking to do. So I understand the need to keep the budget lower, but I'm not sure if this is the time or the way exactly to do it. Do you want to look at that?
Yeah, I mean.
Are you done?
Would you want me to say more?
No, I wasn't sure if you were done, and I thought you had I thought you were coming up with the answer.
Can we, so in that paper, that's what we talked about all this time. It doesn't mean that's what we're headed towards.
Right.
It was just part of the discussion.
That was the starting point.
Yeah.
And then the discussion, but based on the discussion, where do you think we should go? Pretend that paper doesn't
I think
exist.
that we should keep our schools as robust as possible, offering as many services as we can while still trying to keep the budget low, I guess. I like some of the ideas that Mike was saying. I'm wondering if some kind of collaboration can help to lower things by, having one less teacher here or one less thing there, while giving the kids more opportunity to, number one, spend time together, and if there's any other way that we can combine resources between schools, because I know that we're very separate on a lot of things, but if we can do, I don't know what that would look like. I'd have to think about it more, but, and not saying that I have the answers at all, but yeah, those kind of programs are, I think, invaluable to our kids, and they love being together. They really do. So I do not want to close schools. I have watched it in other schools, in other towns, and it's devastating. And I think it just makes the town more like they lose all their community. So I do not want to do that. And I know that people have very strong ties to their school, and I agree moving them from one school to another, and then having them go to middle school, it would be very disruptive for their education and for their emotional well-being, I think, at this point.
All set?
Is that enough?
No, it's when you're done, just let us know.
Yeah, I kind of just echo everything. Thank you for looking into the 6th grade thing, and I'm glad that worked out that way, because I don't want to reduce anything really, except maybe the guidance counselor positions, probably at both schools. And the building thing, like Mike said, I mean, I keep seeing all these things about more cameras, and I don't think cameras are helping kids at all. I think it's going the opposite direction. I think if you're on camera all the time, you're not having a healthy environment. You're not feeling safe, and we can stop spending money on that stuff before we stop spending it on staff. And I'd love to see kids from other towns coming in here too. I don't know how we go about that, but, or from what I understand, we can't go about that, or we'll be forced into it and forced out of all our other choices, so.
The state will tell you what is good.
Yeah.
It'll be close to 50 years from 1984 soon, you know. Are you set?
I am.
Okay.
Does that help?
So, let me tell you, I started typing a bunch of stuff out. I started this about a week ago, and I don't, I had a really interesting English teacher in high school, and I cheated a lot. I was able to write 4 term papers my first semester with them in 10th grade, and I just rewrote those papers for the next 2 years, because one morning I woke up and said, oh my God, that paper was due today. I don't know what to write. So I grabbed one of my old ones, because I kept everything, and I made all his corrections, but we weren't getting along as well, so I got a worse grade, which confused me. So I figured out that I got to be friendly with them, and if I was friendly with them, and I turned the same paper in the second year, and I got a much higher grade. So it kind of told me that nobody really pays attention to what you're writing or saying sometimes. But here's what I'm thinking. We've always, at least in Dover, for ever since I've been on the board, our motto has been an educationally sound, taxpayer-friendly budget. I think we are probably one of the only schools that we don't get all hung up on what the tax rate's going to be when we start talking about budgets. We don't say we've got $100 to spend or $500 to spend. The way a foundation formula budget works is that the state gives you $50 a student, you got to spend it, right? So if we have $50 a student, only have 2 students in the class, it's hard to afford a teacher at $50 each. So so there's a lot of change at the state level that's eventually going to affect us. I don't know, and I don't think anybody could argue that we didn't really get any clear direction from our input, from asking for input. And really, we only had parents that really talked to us about it. We didn't hear from the taxpayers. And unfortunately, the only time we hear from the taxpayers is when it comes time to vote. So I really wish we could have gotten some input from taxpayers. I think Mike came the closest by saying, I pay a lot in taxes, and I pay more, and it sucks. But also, people were paying a lot more when I wasn't paying as much when I had kids in school. So, it's not a good thing. I've always felt that property taxes are a difficult thing because whether you're having a good year or a bad year, you're paying the same or whatever the number is. At least with income tax, if you had a really good year, you don't mind paying a little bit more because you got something to show for it. If you had a really bad year, you pay less. As we make changes to our buildings, we become less attractive. Dover spent a lot of time bringing the IB program in, and why did we bring the IB program in was one of the reasons we thought, it would be a way to attract families into town. I think we heard from Alan, at our last meeting or 2 meetings ago that, he was a student in an IB program and was really it was something he knew about. We actually had meetings with all the realtors in Dover about that and saying, hey, we can become attractive. And we also are attractive, I really believe, because we have tuitioning at secondaries. And, to me, when I was in high school, I thought Wardsboro was always part of the Leland and Gray district. I never realized that they had tuitioning until I got involved on the school board. But I lived in Newfane and we didn't have tuitioning either, so I didn't know what it was all about. But I think that's always been attractive to us, too. Several years ago, the Dover board tasked our administration, and I'm going to get this wrong, but a plan that will allow for flexibility in staffing for the changing student dynamics. And, in Dover for years, we had a combined class. We used to have a pre-K, a 1-2, or pre-K or K-1-2. We had some different, I actually think that Tricia may have been in that class, but it would move around. So you'd have like 2 or 3 grades in one classroom on the lower grades. And I said, we really got to do something different. And you probably heard me say this before, but eventually that first grade and the 6th grade are going to be the 2 smallest classrooms. That teacher's going to have a heck of a time teaching the 1st and 6th grade combination class. I don't know if they could do it. But I always liked combined classrooms too, because I taught there in Jamaica, down in Guilford. I taught it in Wardsboro and Dover and Wilmington. And I always liked combined classrooms because I thought it was kind of neat, because I would watch, if I would hang out in the classrooms, you watch younger kids, if they were having a little bit of trouble, you'd see some of the older kids come over and help them out. And it was kind of neat. So it reinforced what the older child knew. I remember in Jamaica one time, a younger child who finished his work was watching what Mr. Procopio was doing with the older kids, and he was taking notes and he was doing, I thought that was kind of cool. So he was getting a little bit of advance. And so I thought combined classes, but again, you can't have a plan that just combines classes because the numbers work. So we came up with a program in Dover. So I wonder if sometimes we shouldn't come up with a flexibility plan between the 2 buildings. I do understand that, staffing used to be a lot easier. It's hard now, especially in this building and especially in the Wyndham building. And one of the reasons Wyndham closed was you couldn't find any staff. And even in Dover, we still have trouble trying to find staff. And it scares staff off with uncertainty if we don't know, if we don't prepare, because if we just keep kicking a can down the road, eventually the can's going to stop. Transportation is difficult too. To go from Townsend to Newfane is not a bad road. It's, usually it doesn't have the frost heaves are as bad as it is going from Dover to Wardsboro, and I don't know which way is the best way to go, Wardsboro Road or Dover, Route 100. Transportation in our district makes things very difficult. I think another thing that makes it very difficult is people don't understand school governance at all. People get school districts, supervisor unions, and what we can and can't do very difficult. Would it make sense for maybe a way for us to protect ourselves is to try to do something with the West River group? Because at least we have bigger elementary schools, but then the state doesn't allow us to have different structures. But if we were able to have different structures, we could do something maybe at the elementary level, but still allow our students to go elsewhere. Pardon?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so it's probably never going to happen, but, in my world, it would be neat. IB is, was a draw to the community, but it's something that we're finding is difficult to maintain. So, if we give it up, it saves us some money, yeah, but that's not the more important thing. Is is it something that is less of a draw to our community? I have mentioned that I'm thinking of a new way to budget, which is really an old way to budget, is maybe we don't budget really what we need, but we budget somewhat under what we think we need, because obviously we pay taxes to the state on what we budget, not on what we actually spend. And over the last several years, we've had surpluses. So if we were to not spend as much, pardon?
So we call it the Greg Frost plan.
Yeah, well, I've been doing it a lot longer, and Greg Frost has been working with schools. So, anyways, is that a way to do it? Because we, and I think Mike's thing with the buildings, maybe that's a perfect example, which I know is what Greg has said. Staffing versus minimum number of students. If you read these reports that the state has on staffing, we're way understaffed, and that's something that people are looking at. How do we deal with that? How do we cover our minimum class sizes?
Under or over?
We're way overstaffed.
You said
Under students. I'm sorry.
Under students.
And then I think Dwight said something about that. We just need more students. So Dwight, if you guys would just go out and get more kids, we'd be fine.
I've done my job already.
You've done your job. You didn't do it well enough.
Right.
So we also need to look at how many versus how much versus quality. We have, and I don't know what the answer to that is, because no matter what we found is that we've got a lot of people gave us input, but even in the input we weren't consistent. I just want to stress, we've never really ever on budgeting looked at a budget, looked at numbers, or told staff or administration they have X number of dollars to spend. We've always looked at what the programs are first, and then we kind of see how we can afford that, and how we always back into the budget. I think, so I have a big so, I think it's important at this time not to make any major changes. I think if we make any major changes, we are possibly taking some of the ability of the future for what we can do. I still like that we're probably one of the only schools that vote our budget at a live meeting, so we can shuck and jive and we can come up with something at the meeting. We can ask for a friendly amendment to change something if we need to change something. If we find out that a week before the meeting the legislature is passed a bill that says we have to combine with another school, maybe there's something that will make a change. I think that's one of our positives. One of the things we got to be really careful of, and there was a selectman that actually appointed me the first year to my school board term, and he said, you're being stupid, you should run for a selectman's position. And I said, why? And he said to me, remember, you're dealing with people's most important possession. I shouldn't say possession. Their most important thing that they have is their child. He said, as a selectman, we talk about people's roads. If they get mad because we made a decision on the road and they don't like that we bought the wrong truck or something, nobody really cares. Or bought an electric plow truck. Nobody really cares. We'll argue about it, but we can, go out later. But, you mess up their kids and, they're going to hate you forever. And I think we see that a lot. So we don't have an easy choice. So I would really like to see us ask our administration, if you don't need it, please tell us. Think about how we're staffed. Think about a plan that allows us some flexibility, because we don't know what's happening down the road, and we can't even tell next year. We have an idea of what we're going to have for students, but we need to be able to be nimble enough if things change, that we have the staffing to be able to do that, but we're not so overstaffed that we can't afford it. I think we need to look at what we do with our special programs. I think we need to look at the extras we do, and I think we need to look at the number of adults in the building, and I think we need to utilize everybody we have, and everybody needs to understand the days of, that's not my job, are long over. And I think I've always been impressed with teachers. They're always there. They're willing to work with students. They'll do anything for them, and we need to do for them the same. Do the best we can for them. So that would be kind of my direction to you folks. Is and then I think we just even really need to look at, and I've always commended central office and our administrators in the buildings, because we have a surplus. There's a lot of administrators that say, oh, we got an extra $1,000, let's buy something. you don't need it, don't buy it, like a tractor. Maybe we'll get an electric tractor. I don't know, maybe there's a grant out there Dwight can find us.
You keep pushing that tractor out there. How old is that tractor now?
It doesn't matter, not as old as my loader. So anyways, those are kind of my thoughts. I hope it makes sense. So now, I need you guys, you and Heidi.
It was consistent, like, I feel like there was a lot of similarities between what all of you said.
Are you saying that we were in alignment?
I would say we're pretty close, right? Pretty close. Yeah.
I don't think we're all in agreement because we'll see what happens when push comes to shove.
Right.
But anyway,
there's a lot of similar
yeah. So
themes.
I think you guys, can you regurgitate to us what you're going to do now with the budget?
Regurgitate.
Isn't that a word?
It is a
Yes,
word.
it is.
Is it a big word?
Flawless your cookies. I think what I'm hearing you say is that you want to ensure that we have high quality, rigorous programming for our students, while at the same time ensuring to the taxpayers that we are running the buildings in a way which emphasizes flexibility in staffing, so that we can pivot to where needs are, operating as a whole and not as two buildings. That's kind of what I'm hearing you say.
Excellent. Is that good with you all? Go ahead.
Yes, and I'd like to call out an example that happened this year is like Wardsboro had Spanish. We weren't able to find a Spanish teacher, so they pivoted and they took they added STEAM programming in for the students, and they instead of bringing another body in for a .1 job, they added to somebody who was currently in the building and made it a more attractive positioning.
So the person did above and beyond what we were supposed to do, and it all worked out for the best.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Does that make sense?
They were mindful of resources and were agile.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is our theme going into next year is being mindful and agile.
Wow. I like that.
Mindful and agile.
Write it down.
What's that?
Hopefully Meredith got that.
I did.
She'll watch the recording. You wrote it down. Excellent. I got it.
No,
We actually meet tomorrow. Administrators, I do my Tuesday round, so we'll be getting together tomorrow. So we'll start conversations and we'll bring in Heidi as we need her. And
yeah. So then next meeting you can kind of show us what being mindful and agile means and what it looks like to be flexible.
Yeah.
And then we need to know what you need from the board. And then I think, oh, good.
I'm good. Just doing a correction.
Yeah.
Oh,
Eagle eye.
did you write something wrong on the minutes?
Found it. Sniped
she
it.
said Mike was here. That's
Oh.
what he had.
But anyways, I think what we do is then you present that to us, and again, we wait. We're not. It doesn't matter what it's going to cost right now. It's what's best for the students, and let's start with that. And if we can swing what's best for everybody, and everybody's in agreement, that'll be great. And if we can't, then like Mike said, we have to go and look at, around the fringes. As it said in the newspaper, a surplus is a good thing. But it's also a bad thing, and it's also, should we think about maybe this year, because we don't know, is we don't budget as much, or we don't, request as much in financing as we had in the past, so.
Yeah, I like it.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, at one point, I'm not sure if this is, I know there's a lot of discussion, I hear what you're saying, Rich, I totally agree, but as we know, when we do the budgets, very little that we have actual control over, right? We say that every year. And there's a tremendous amount of discussion about health insurance and how expensive it is, and it's one of the cost drivers. And I pointed this out last year, but the budget, that line item is all over the budget in different spots. And I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I'm going to present it anyway. Well, if we can have maybe just a single line item for what the health insurance cost is, and understand, and that way at least we can tell people who ask, how is this affecting the budget? And I don't know if it's an increase or decrease. Maybe it's not a good idea, but at least have an overall cost. We'll know what the rest of the budget is and what it increase, and then how much is health insurance actually affecting? Because there's a lot of people have thrown that out there that's what's raising our budgets.
We did have that last year, though.
We did a review, but it wasn't actually in the budget. We did a review of what the cost was this year compared to previous years. What I'm asking Is it put it on the bottom line of the budget, of what so we can compare what the cost was to last year, and what if there is an increase, how that increase is affecting the overall cost.
So the problem with that, Dwight, is that the budget has different categories, and so that's why you can't just make a whole new line item, health insurance, and just have that. But we can do that as a separate stat like we did last year.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean we want to know what the preschool costs us. That's why preschool is and the health insurance is under that,
Right, okay.
and then administration, and then all those different spots.
That's fair
But
enough.
we did do last year. I'm pretty sure Heidi did for us.
No, I read
Here's
that,
your
yeah.
total, and,
Right.
and that's how we have to do
Yeah,
it.
fair enough. That makes sense.
But we
So
can
if-
also put it in the booklet if that's something that we think really it
I have
affects
another
us.
idea too. I can do another separate document that I do for West River that goes in the actual annual report, which is summing up an account code with a total. So
From all the
could-
different lines,
Yeah.
all the
So
different subsections.
you can actually see
okay.
all workers'
Perfect.
comp. So I can create that document.
Oh, well then that's exactly what he's looking
Yep.
for.
Perfect. Thank you.
And then Bob, I did get Kate and I got you student numbers. I'd be really interested to see how those line up to this coming year, and then that way, maybe that would help us say, hey, again, we're going to have this. It's a similar budget, but here's why. Because we think that we're, from the past 20 years, it looks like, the birth rates have gone back up, and so it looks like we're going to start to see some increases. I think it's easy to argue for the building because of the uncertainty in the future. And, I think it's easy to argue for the programs because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. There's, like Dwight said, there's very little we control. So I think if you could bring that to us so we can so I think the important things are the budget, the enrollment, the staffing levels. And I think you also should include, because we do pay for it, is what SU staffing is in our buildings also. Because we may be able to move some SU staffing around too to help with staffing inside the buildings.
Okay.
Is that good with everybody?
Great. Thank you, Rich.
Okay. Cool. Superintendents, I think that's it, right? Direction for central office, timeline we already know, and we've done we got your input, so thank you. Heidi, you have you want to just do the financials so you don't have to stay the whole night?
I would love that.
So I think we did have some. Didn't we have financials?
Yes, we do.
Okay, right there. There's 3 of them. P cards, 4 of them. Oh, forgot to include on 2-2.
Oh yeah.
And then we got a new one. So somebody like to review them? I love it when we only spend $186. I don't like number 46.
All right, I would like to make a motion that we approve pay warrant number 42 in the amount of $50,611.94. Pay warrant number 43 in the amount of $2,203.77. Pay warrant number 44 in the amount of $186.02. And the pay warrant number 46 in the amount of $418,463.77.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hey, we're all here.
I
This
know.
is really cool.
This is like the first time in a long time that we've all been.
Hail, the gang's all
It's a good
here.
time to be here. Laura here and all. That's great.
Yeah.
You even have past board members here.
Right?
Heidi, do you need anything else, or you all good?
No, I was just.
No, I just want to make sure
Nope, that's
before
all.
you
Yep,
left.
thank you.
So, Bob, I'm gonna go superintendent's update, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cabinet report was there last time, right?
Yeah.
So that's not new. I don't know, I just will give you guys an update that we did have a resignation from our Director of Student Services or Special Education, which is unfortunate, especially after we just got a really nice letter from a Dover parent who was thanking us for her involvement in the meeting, which was really positive, I guess.
What was the role?
Director of Student Services, who's Special Ed Director, I guess is the title.
Don't drink.
She has, she came to us with 30 years classroom special ed experience, but just doesn't want to be an administrator. Has figured it out. Her name's Chris Peoples.
Oh, okay.
And she just decided that it was not for her as an administrator. So we've already posted that. We're looking for an opening for a person to fill. It might be before the end of the year. So I just want to give you guys that update. And I would say the other related staffing thing is just that we did end up with a new HR coordinator a few months back, and I just want to report out that it was after a little lull in the middle, this new one's really working out quite well, and she's great. So that's very positive. Yeah, I don't have a ton on. There's nothing I can say about the legislative update that Laura didn't give us, so I won't waste any time on that. But we are headed towards a vacation week next week, and for school, and that's all I got.
Was there school today?
Yes.
Was school today? Yep.
Even though it was
Interesting.
President's Day, the kids still had school today.
Yeah.
Because we're offset, like, typically we always
No,
have school
I know.
vacation.
It's
Yeah.
a thing that I get beat up on all the time.
I know.
So
know.
I'm gonna have to beat back this
I
time.
know.
Huh?
Parents don't complain about it, do they?
What?
I think our community is unique in that, like we have so many parents that work in the resort, and so this is such a busy week for them. So to not have to deal with like childcare on top of like,
Yeah,
that.
I haven't heard any complaints about it.
No.
And no one wants
Oh.
to ski this week anyways.
We a long time ago in Dover changed our calendar versus the SU to do this because we had so many parents request it, and we just got really beat up by certain people that weren't in our district but were in our supervisory union. Not Bob, but his predecessors. And so it was kind of neat that they finally came to our side. So I'm figuring everything that we really want to do, maybe eventually people in the state and the SU will come over to our side. I don't know.
And for next year, we're in that
Same.
same pattern,
Right.
like we're
For
the week
whole
after,
year, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it works
I think it's the
better.
whole state actually.
Yeah. Well, because the tech centers drive the
We're
schedule.
all
So
aligned. So that's all I got.
thank you, Bob.
Yep.
Anything for Bob? Nope. Everybody's shaking their heads no. Hey, Tracy, knock it out of the park.
So a couple of updates since the last report I gave. Our winter concert is tomorrow night. So the kids have been preparing some songs to sing in groups and in special grades. There is also our PE teacher that we have this year has coordinated a song and dance. So and the kids are super thrilled to do that. So that is going to be our fun end to the concert. We also have a book fair going on this week and tomorrow at the concert. It's always a fun time. We have a few fun activities planned this week, the week before break. But my most important thing is a shout out to Kendra Urquhart, who again, pretty much single-handedly with a lot of help from probably Lori in my office, coordinated winter activities. She had a bunch of parent volunteers, but she got everything in line, coordinated all the skis and things getting to the mountain, all the chaperones having to be fingerprinted, and right down to all of the things. So I just want to shout out to her for a wonderful year again. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Tracy. Anybody got anything for Tracy? No?
I will echo thanking Kate for all her work with winter activities at the mountain. We would correspond periodically. Okay, I didn't lose any kids. Everybody's good. So that's always good. We hate losing
We
children.
did break one day.
I know, but the parent was there.
It
The
went
parent was there,
so
right?
well. I should say between the two of them, it was flawless. I don't think, besides Kendra getting sick and not being able to be at the last day.
But the part that Kendra got sick and all of the Dover moms, no, I'm sorry, all of the Dover parents, like, knew what they were supposed to be doing, and they all just jumped in and did all the things. Like, it was really, like, that speaks a lot about, like, Kendra's, like, the way that she organizes people. Like, she did a phenomenal job.
The anxiety level has gone down by massive amounts over the past 2 years. Like, it's fun.
Yeah, and it's really fun too. Like Meredith mentioned it earlier, but Dover and Wardsboro really play well together. Like,
In
and
the sandbox.
we do
Or on the ski mountain.
on the ski hill and in the lunchroom and stuff, and we're all
It's great on the
Yeah.
same day. It wasn't always that way. You know,
yeah.
it's been
I
that
think
way.
we've been on the same day for a few
Quite a while,
years
yeah,
now.
yeah. I'm just old.
No.
Oh, they tried to split our group up for the last day, and I was.
And Meredith was like,
I
no,
was like, no, that's
no,
not gonna
we're not going to
No,
separate
thank
by
you.
schools.
Yeah.
We are one community.
We're one school.
And she made the instructors take the group out together. So it was really fun. And
Awesome.
the instructors gave a really nice compliment to the kids of this community. I was told from the ski school that this was the day that the instructors always enjoyed coming to work because the kids at the Dover and the Wardsboro campuses were really fun to work with. So, like, I told the kids that in the lunchroom, but just so you guys know that
That's good to hear.
the kids were they represented our schools really well.
Great.
Love it.
That's good. So
Yeah.
that speech you gave before they started work, Kate. Right?
Can I just say one thing, Francesca, before we move off of winter sports? I want to also thank my Pee Wee coordinator, Nicole Leonard. So make sure you get that in the minutes, Meredith. Because she's wonderful too. And they will be all ready for her in the next couple of years. They'll be all ready for Kendra.
Yeah, Karina Martin
Karina,
does.
a lot of thanks going out there.
I know, Karina. Yeah,
Here you go, Mr. TV guy.
All right, so then on campus, we went ice skating this year at the Farm Road Estate. They gave us a really good deal. That was a lot of fun. All but one child had never skated before, so it was interesting, and they were skating by the time we left. We also had karate on campus, so that was a lot of fun.
Wow.
I guess keeping on the winter theme, we started cross-country skiing. Karina, again, is leading the cross-country skiing for PE because our PE teacher's having surgery, so it all kind of worked out. And we are getting ready for our winter carnival. You can see all the cardboard there. We're making our sled. We've also decided to do Winter Olympics. So last Thursday, we had our opening ceremony. We had a torch relay race.
Awesome.
Thursday, we're having ice speed skating. And Friday, we're doing curling on scooters with adults sitting on the scooters. That should be interesting.
Okay.
We'll have some video
Brooms
on
and
that.
all.
You know, I was thinking about the brooms. I don't know if we're going to do the brooms, but we'll see. We might practice before we do it. Let's see. We started our mystery reader program back up in kindergarten, so that's been really exciting. That was at a suggestion of our parent group. Advisory group, so we've had, I think, 4 mystery readers, so if y'all want to come in and read, reach out to Trisha.
do it.
Patty.
I think, our March reading challenge is starting next month, so we'll have more on that. And then lastly, just to update you on our benchmarking, last time we met, I think we had just had our data meeting, so I didn't have a lot of information. But in the last 4 months, since our fall benchmark, our kids meeting target in math has climbed 7%. And our concepts and application scores, 75% of the kids math benchmark. So that's pretty incredible. Our reading scores we need to focus a little bit on. We're a little stagnant there, especially our oral reading fluency, which has always been kind of a challenge. So we've started a new program in the classrooms, especially the older kids, and that's where we're at. Yeah, it's good data.
So that where you guys are doing some stuff with the Olympics, did anybody notice how many Vermont Olympians we have in this year's Winter Olympics?
We're Zooming, not that she's from Vermont, but we have a student whose niece or cousin or somebody was on the Olympic team, did the Super G, and we are gonna try and Zoom her in on Wednesday so that the kids can ask her questions.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yep, it's
Yeah,
a Sullivan.
yeah.
It's her last name, Mary Bocock, I think is her name.
Yeah.
I watched her run. She put so much effort in. It was
We were
amazing.
gonna try and live stream, well, get it on YouTube, but it was just, there was too much technology for me to do that, so.
Should
Yeah.
run Rich.
I know, I should have called you Rich.
I would have brought you my flip phone.
That would have worked, right?
Hey,
I don't think so.
But
just
that's it, yeah.
No, that was Jesse Diggins or somebody else that got the mattress commercial.
And before y'all leave, we did put the chomp saw up there. That is our new
I get
stand.
to
wanna
play.
check that.
I
The kids
play with it
love it.
first.
It's very cool. There's cardboard there. You just
Okay.
press the button on and that's it. There's directions too.
So I want to make a comment on education,
Yeah.
which I think that's what we're here for.
Sure.
No, but seriously, people complain about testing and too much testing and stuff. But what you just said is really important, I think, for people to understand, is that, maybe that's why you call it benchmarking versus testing, but that your reading was stagnant. So you've adjusted for that. And in the old days, we would have done that once a year, and you would have tested in the spring, or you test in the fall, you get the results of fall. So those students who are stagnant would still be stagnant, and not only that, then they would stagnate the following year, and then you're always behind. And I don't think people understand how important these checks into how things are going in your programs are, and how fluid the staff has to be. Where in the old days, I could just teach the same thing year after year after year, and it would happen. But now, if we see things that aren't working, so please thank everybody, and remember, though, stagnant is better than going backwards.
True that.
So you shouldn't make it sound like it's really awful.
Well,
It
it's
just
not
could
awful,
be
but you
better.
always want to see your scores up, and I think you have to understand that some of these are just a little point in time.
Right.
Like we do lots of assessments, teachers do all the assessments, and a kid comes in and having a bad day.
Or
They
didn't
just
eat
might-
that morning.
Or didn't
have
eat
breakfast.
that morning,
and, yeah.
or whatever. I think that we just have to realize that, but it gives us a good picture. And you're right. I mean, the point of assessment is so it guides your instruction.
Yeah.
If you don't get it till 6 months later, what's the point?
No, so I'm really,
Yeah.
I'm glad for that. And Tracy, same with your group too, because I know you make changes when you can. She just happened to bring it up. So, but thank you for that. That's really important. I think it's important for people to understand that.
I'll just add to that, the data teams, when they meet with the principals and Renee, and I don't know if Samson's still coming or not, but
We had Renee and Samson. Chris Peoples was there, and Dave Cohn, our SEL guy, was
Came
there.
as
So
well.
they're great meetings. We
Yeah.
have really
And
great
they-
conversations.
they really get into the data with the
Yeah.
kids, and they figure out what those changes are, and then they have great conversations. And that's not something that 20 years ago existed in public schools. It's really earth-shatteringly different than it used to be.
Data is really important.
Yeah,
So
it's great.
cool. Well, anyways, good job. Anybody else for?
Good. Thank you.
Okay. I still want to see him with the brooms, but you want to be careful.
I want to see if they'll make those right.
If I was given a broom in elementary school, I might have been hitting people with it.
Yeah, I don't think we'll do brooms, but we'll see.
Okay. So we have consent agenda. So minutes of the February 2nd meeting that Meredith did so well for us. Any comments? By unanimous consent, are we able to?
I got it.
What, is there an issue?
Just
No.
dot was twice.
Yeah, I
That was-
fixed it.
that was it.
Okay, so since there's nobody objecting, we will move on. You have correspondence, I see that's highlighted. Was there correspondence? We have a letter from a parent we're gonna deal with in executive session.
Yeah,
Is that what the highlighted, is that why
let me
it's,
just pull it up and look, because to be honest, I don't have the.
I don't remember. Do you remember?
I don't.
Pretty sure it was the rural board of.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's right.
Dan
Yes.
MacArthur, I
Yeah.
asked him about that.
Yeah, on the that is in your
It
packet.
is, okay. So in your packet somewhere,
Thank you, Tracy.
there's a letter, see, that's why she's sitting at her computer.
Yep, smart.
Tracy, can you read it to us, please? I don't have it.
I have it.
Oh, you
got
have
it.
it? I won't make you do that. Let me see
Okay.
what-
Glasses?
I don't need glasses to read. I need glasses to see somebody's
You got
pointing.
it? Everyone has it.
Okay, to our fellow Vermont school board chairs, we write you as chairs of our local boards and as members of our local SU board to speak to you to help keep small school districts in Vermont from being eliminated and to keep rural schools open. Act 73 redistricting task force spent many months exploring options to make Vermont schools more effective and efficient. They came to the conclusion that encouraging collaboration, cooperation among districts was the most cost-effective and educationally sound way to move forward. They determined that using arbitrary maps to create new districts was not the way to engage the public or to make our education system better. Is there anybody that disagrees with that here? Good. So we can all be on the same page on that. Recently, the chair of House Ed proposed doing exactly what the task force had recommended against, using maps to force the merger school districts around Vermont. The proposal also completely eliminates SUs and non-operating school districts. This undemocratic and heavy-handed approach to the Ed Fund governance legislation is not the way to create a lasting and effective future for our schools. Further, there's little or no evidence this approach will save taxpayers money or improve student outcomes. Instead, among a host of damaging consequences, it will erode the vitality of our rural communities. The Rural School Community Alliance has worked tirelessly in Montpelier to ensure that the voices and priorities of schools and communities are heard. Our SCA was effective last legislation session and is now working to get influential testimony before the Education Committee of the House and the Senate, as well as other committees, to inform final decisions regarding Act 73. Provisions that are not yet implemented, as well as potential new legislation. In order to continue our efficient advocacy, we need your financial support. It always comes down to money. We ask that you place an item on an upcoming school district or SU agenda to make contributions to the RSCA in order to quickly formulate and counterproductive legislation for becoming law. The school boards that we chair have voted to make such a financial contribution. We have assurances that contributions are legal and appropriate as long as the contributions done correctly. This comes from Attorney David Kelly. School boards may contribute. Do you know David Kelly? Does anybody? Do you know him, Tori? No. School boards may contribute to organizations whose goals align with their own. The organization may hire lobbyists to support the goals. In this case, the organization, not the school board, will be responsible for registering as having hired a lobby. No further action needed by the board. The donation would need to be an agenda item voted in order to be authorized. Contributions are made to the nonprofit Vermont Rural Education Collaborative and are designated for the RSCA. It's run by volunteers and are used solely to track for services of knowing public affairs in order to assist us in being able to deliver testimony to legislation in Montpelier. This work is now more important than ever. During the last 12 months, people contribute over $20,000 in donations ranging from $500 to $8,000 depending on the size of their overall budget. We're asking you to raise enough cash to end this legislation year fully funded because the session is looking to be long and divisive. We need to raise another $30,000 now and possibly an additional $10,000 if the legislation session goes through June. Please place an item on your agenda. So we put the letter in there, but I need you all to think about this. And I think what we can do is at our next meeting, if you want to put something in there, let me know. Or I'd like to not just put it on and vote it on today, but do you think it's an appropriate thing? And do you think how much should we donate? My only comment is we're looking at reducing budgets, or being fiscally conservative. It's really the money we get is given to us to do, to educate our students, not to support other groups, even though I believe in it. We could ask for people to donate, and the board could donate some of our own money towards this versus giving the school money. But I just need you all to think about it, and if anybody would like to suggest an amount, please let us know. We'll put it on the agenda next time if you think it ought to be voted on by the board. Is that fair?
Yeah, I just want to add, we did vote to be a member of this group, and I'm the representative,
right?
And I will say these guys are extremely active. I'm on all the email lists, and they're up in the State House constantly. They're really advocating for rural schools, and as you can see from the letter, it's very much in line with what we're trying to do here as well. When we voted to be an SU, it was really at the recommendation of this rural group. They're the ones that were pushing that for our groups, our rural schools.
Or an SD?
SUs. We voted that we wanted to remain in an SU as part of the that's what they're the ones who pushed Act 72 to include at least one SU, and they also recommended to local school boards that you should stay in that system. So that's one of the things they're advocating for. But highly active, they're doing a tremendous job. Just want to put that in there.
And I know that lobbying firm, I can't pronounce her, Leone.
Can't read that
Yeah.
away.
They, I know they did work with Dover on the student count stuff, and they were very effective, and they're a very good organization. They're not cheap, but I've rethought a lot in the recent past, especially with budgets going up so much. Is should we be spending taxpayers' money? Because there may be some people that disagree and not think we're lobbying. And I actually read a story about a famous federal legislator who, challenged the Senate and the House to do the same. If you think this is an important thing, we shouldn't fund it with taxpayers' money. We should fund it with our own money.
Yeah.
So.
But Laura said that's what the influence is up there with lobbyists. There's no question about it.
No, I know. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, if people would think about that, and unless somebody wants to make a suggestion.
I think it would help us probably make a decision to know kind of more, I'm definitely in support of what they're doing. I would love some more concrete information so that we can back it up and make a good decision on how much, if and how much to give.
So why don't we ask Dan MacArthur, is high up in this, why don't we ask him, and I asked him if he would be able to make it this meeting, because I said we would put this letter on at our executive committee meeting, and I thought he said he would be here, but maybe we forgot to send him the link or something. So
I think he testified today too, so he may.
Okay, so we could do that, and I'll ask him to. I know like VSBA has their recommended, if you're a small board, you pay this, a large board. So can we also just, when you ask him, see if they have a recommendation on what they're asking boards to contribute?
And whether he can maybe come to the next meeting?
Oh yeah, no, that was
Sorry,
the first thing.
Okay.
And when he comes to the meeting, could he make a recommendation?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say I like the idea of trying to raise the funds without spending the school funds, but I do think contributing to this is a very good thing. But I'm also.
And they're saying they want to try to raise 30,000, over every school district. I mean, so they're probably looking at $1,000 or 1,500. Do you remember what we gave last time?
I don't remember what we gave last time.
It was like $1,000, $1,500 maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
But they started with a budget of 20,000, with donations ranging from 500 to 8,000, depending on the size of the overall budget. They're now working to raise enough cash to keep this year fully funded. Because the session is looking to be long and divisive, we need to raise another 30,000 now and possibly 10,000 more if this session goes through June.
Yeah. So just maybe get a recommendation, and also what we gave last time, and I think the SU donated too, didn't they?
I don't know. I'll have to look.
I feel like
they voted to be in it. I'm not sure if they donated.
I feel like.
Oh, well, you know what, that's right, because the original ask was just to become a member, or to join.
First you join,
then they asked for the money.
Right.
Okay.
So we haven't given them any money yet?
No, I think we did last year, but I think what happened was they came to us and said, do you want to do this? Oh, yeah, we're not asking for any money.
Right.
And then a couple meetings later, it was, hey, can you remember that? Or
That sounds very familiar.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. But Bob will find out for us, because Bob's a good historian.
He's got the info.
Oh, we're doing the minutes for us too, Meredith.
I'm looking.
Yeah, we'll get some numbers together. We've been a really late meeting, longer than I wanted to go, so I'm sorry. But we'll do that. Oh, I had that right there. Is that yours?
No, you took mine. It's okay. I was sharing.
Yours is right here.
I know. Yeah, it's okay. I like to share.
Oh,
Sharing
okay.
is good.
So anyways, now, you know what though? I lost my agenda. So, can we, so we need to move into executive session. Do we need to have the building admins here?
I think, well, you have two different executive sessions. I think,
the first, the one involving the letter from the parent.
that might be good to have one of your administrators for that.
Let's do that first.
And then, it wouldn't, well, it's up to you, because you had two negotiation related things.
Yeah, but you got those covered, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just, so that they don't have to spend the whole night with us, let's do their thing first. So we only got a couple people in the waiting room, right?
Or
I mean, in the
Yeah.
meeting. So we have an executive session to deal with a letter from a parent. So, Bob, which one do we need to do? The top one.
Yep.
So
Do I have to move some people out?
not
of
yet.
Not
We
yet.
gotta make a motion in a second, and then we can move people around.
All right, so just the top one.
Yep.
I move to go into executive session for a personal matter under 1 VSA 313.3.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I
Okay, so. So I think, Bob, from the executive session, you need to follow up with the parent and let them keep them informed as to the process, and we'll wait to hear back from them.
All right, thank you.
Okay. What's really fun, buddy, is all you get to do is go out again, because we need to do the second motion, and then Tracy and
Francesca.
Francesca.
It's getting late.
It's that working memory is really tricky for me sometimes.
you can leave.
Can I end this?
No,
Since
no.
it's
Do you need to-
there?
can you
So
make
do I have
Meredith
to
the
make
host?
somebody else
Me?
a host?
make Bob the host.
I'm not on it, but you can make
Meredith
Meredith the
is.
host.
Mary's going to be the hostess with the mostest.
In 1 second.
Thank you, Tracy.
I think it's on that more.
Okay,
Oh, I like the wave.
Where?
It looks really good on the
Where?
camera.
may I make the
No,
motion?
that you gotta
Yeah.
move the thing
Okay.
over so you can see.
I
Uh,
move to find that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body
There's more?
or
Tracy had
a
to go
person
down here
involved
last
at a
time to
substantial
participate.
disadvantage.
That's who you are.
Yeah.
Do we have a second to that?
Right click on Meredith.
Eli seconds.
You click on the person, then you can make them a
There you go.
co-host.
There,
Add more.
there it
Do
is.
we have to do the other one too?
Yes.
But we
All
have
those
to
in
approve
favor
it.
say aye.
Aye.
Appears to be unanimous decision in the affirmative.
All right.
I move
But-
to enter executive session
No,
to
I
discuss
didn't.
contract/labor negotiations under 1 VSA section 313(1)(b).
Second.
Thank you, Meredith. Motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Appears to be unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Did you make?
Motion to adjourn.
No.
No, we have to talk about.
So, Bob.
Yes.
So, Bob, we were going to take what we got from them. We're going to
9:30.
review it with the attorney and make and do a
Yep, I'll push him
proposal.
again on getting a time.
Okay, and then
You
for the
seconded
three of us.
Yep.
Okay, maybe we
did it,
can
he
do it when we
seconded. Oh, you
set up the
seconded it.
agenda.
Yeah, back to back with that.
Yeah.
How's your schedule when we do that? Is that tight for you? To just,
Next week, the agenda, I'm on vacation.
So am I. I'm
Yeah.
on
Me too.
permanent vacation.
No, I'm spending a lot of money to go on vacation,
Are you
and
going
I'm
somewhere?
going to Disney
Okay.
World, and I'm not messing with that.
Wow.
Unscheduled.
Go ahead.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Disney World.
We had no,
So next week,
nothing happened after.